bring it back to AOC. I'm actually more pro AOC than most people would be. You would think after how harshly I'm criticizing her. I'm more pro AOC. And as far as her like performance in a presidential campaign, you know, this might be a good idea to talk about the Bernie campaigns of 2016 and 2020 and kind of link that. I think of AOC more representing the 2020 campaign, which is like where they leaned into a lot of the critiques that Bernie got in 2016 about him being a, you know, sexist white man and being concerned about he's like, you know, black women don't like him and, you know, black women represent the party better. Right. And so we should listen to black women, that kind of thing. And, you know, the issue with and Bernie Sanders kind of reacted to that. Like I think the cringiest things Bernie Sanders ever did. Do you remember when Bernie Sanders was giving a speech and a couple of activists came up and took the microphone from him? They were purportedly Black Lives Matter activists, right? There was like two women that came up and they took the microphone from him and he just let them have the microphone and they sat there and he just sat there in the corner. And I found that to be such an emasculating moment. And I use that term, intentionally of that's not what the leader of a movement should be like. People should not feel like they have the ability to come up and take your space and push you aside. You know,
he cowered to the whole idea that, oh, you're not listening to black voices, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it's not that black voices are important.
By Charlemagne the God, too. I remember that on the Breakfast Club when he was like, what are you doing for black people? And he's like, well, my program will disproportionately benefit black people. And he's like, but what for black people specifically? What about reparations? And he's like, well, I'm like giving everyone health care. Like, what?
Well, yeah, Ta-Nehisi Coates is a perfect example of this. Ta-Nehisi Coates in 2016 was one of these people that was like, I'm not sure that I can support Bernie Sanders because I haven't heard his reparation program. And I'm like, motherfucker, you were the court jester for the Barack Obama presidency. You wrote a book 8 years and we had 8 years in power. Like, what do you, well, you know, I used to debate with you on you know, the Atlantic's forums, you know, like, what are you talking about? You never cared about this, but this was a cudgel to use. And Bernie Sanders, I think, wrongly believed that's why he lost. He thought like, oh, I got outflanked on these positions and I need to, you know, tack into this. I need to lean toward these kind of like different, you know, interest groups